Hey guys, I just finished Nioh on the PS4, and since Nioh 2 is just around the corner, I thought that I would make a video review um, just to tell you why Nioh is probably one of the best action games on PS4 and possibly even one of the best PlayStation 4 games. So yeah, let's get started. So the premise of the game is Nioh's an action RPG, combines different elements from many popular titles like Ninja Gaiden, Diablo, and like Bloodborne and the Souls games. So yeah, to create like a new game. Um, the idea of the game is you play as this Irishman whose name is William, and he is supposedly based on a real life character of the first Englishman who went to Japan. Um, but you wouldn't know that unless you looked it up on Wikipedia. Uh, the game doesn't do like the best job at explaining the story to you. But anyway, William ends up traveling around Japan, chasing like a magical stone or something. To be honest, at the time of this review, I've put about like 50 hours into the game, and that's pretty much all I could say about the story. um, well, throughout the journey, you'll probably meet a lot of well known historical figures from Japanese history, and you meet them in some really funny situations. Overall, the storyline is pretty wacky, and I didn't pay too much attention to it. Actually, at about the halfway point in the game, I started skipping cutscenes because I had no idea what was going on. And the main villain in this game is really one dimensional. He's just like a typical kind of built guy with evil glowing power coming out of him. But anyway, luckily this game is not all about story, and you don't actually get too much story in here. So let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. In Nioh, you work your way through missions, which are typically in these confined, multi-path, open-ended areas, usually with the goal of defeating a boss or completing a certain goal. Not all the missions are about killing bosses, but the majority of them have like either a boss or like an enemy with like extremely high health pools at the end of the mission. And to help you on the missions, you have about 5 or 6 different weapon types. You also have ninja skills and magic and range weapons. And you have these guardian spirits to help you out. And on top of that, for all of the weapon types, there are multiple stances. So as you can see in the gameplay footage, down the bottom right corner of the screen, there's a picture of the samurai guy with kind of 4 different stances. And like, depending on the stance you use, it's more effective against some enemies compared to others. So this is just an example of the kind of complicated systems that Nioh has, and it can be really overwhelming to new players, especially since there are many enemies in the game that will instantly kill you in one hit, or if not one, significantly reduce your health. So Nioh will punish you quite a lot for not knowing the kind of strengths and weaknesses of the particular enemy and how to deal with them properly. With that being said, though, when you do get the hang of the gameplay, it's extremely rewarding. The gameplay is extremely deep, and even after 50 hours, I still find it really fun. It's a really long time to master the different weapons, so you can do multiple playthroughs in this game and have fun like in every playthrough with a different weapon. Like I started off in my playthrough using an axe, but then I found out it was a little bit too slow, so I changed to the samurai sword. And then I found that was a good fit for me, and I just stuck with that until I basically finished the game. And now I'm going through the game again on New Game Plus, and I'm using these kind of like chain Kusuri weapons, which are also really fun to use. But again, you have to kind of learn like a completely different skill set and everything to learn how to use these. So it's quite in depth for an action RPG. Yeah, so the game can initially be quite intimidating and frustrating, and especially like the first 3 levels. The bosses in these first 3 levels were really frustrating when I wasn't used to the game mechanics. But um, at a certain point in the game, you kind of just click and you kind of understand how everything's supposed to be played, and you realize that it's not like really unfair, and there's a whole lot of different tools at your disposal to help you defeat these bosses. You can even summon in a friend if you want to help you defeat the bosses. Although it does make it a little bit trivial when you do that, but nothing in the game ever felt impossible. It just takes a little bit of time to kind of get used to the gameplay. I played the game on the standard PlayStation 4, and the game gives you the option to like optimize frame rate, resolution, or a mixture of both. I played the game with the frame rates optimization mode on, and it runs at a really smooth 60 FPS. The game doesn't look amazing, but I mean, it runs really well. Yeah, so there are some levels with really nice artistic design. There are a couple that stand out in mind. There's one on this like shrine near this really rough ocean, set on this rainy night, and there's like a huge pirate ship. So you go in between this pirate ship and back to the shrine, and there's all these kind of like demons and pirates mixed in between the level, and that was a really cool level. Another one was this level that's set in like a snowstorm, and your vision's a little bit impaired, and you can see all the little tiny snow particles, which looks really cool. And there was a few other ones, but I probably won't say them just because of spoilers. I'd say one of the best selling points about Nioh is its replay value. The game has insane replay value. Like, it took me about 50 hours to clear the story mode just by itself. But then, on top of the story mode, there are also a multitude of different types of missions. There are like side missions, these other missions called Twilight missions, which are basically harder versions of the story missions. There are these dojo missions which help you unlock like new abilities and upgrades for your gear. Then there's the New Game Pluses, and I believe it goes up to New Game Plus 4. You also have online, and then there's also DLC. So you could easily spend well over 100 hours on this game. And considering the current price of this game, it's extremely cheap. So yeah, overall, I'd say if you're looking for a game with good narrative, then Nioh's probably not for you. But if you enjoy like very fast-paced action games such as Bloodborne or Ninja Gaiden Black, and like a game with a challenge, I'd definitely recommend Nioh. It's one of the most fun, addictive games that I've played on PS4 in recent memory.